The Dodgers lost again. I'm probably going to annoy you by not being as negative as you want me to be. I mean, there's plenty to be negative about, but I don't know. I've been negative enough. We're going to try to put a little positive spin on this, even though it sucks to lose to the Pirates twice in a row. Let's get locked on Dodgers.
You are Locked On Dodgers, your daily Los Angeles Dodgers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, Dodger fans, this is Locked On Dodgers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks to our everydayers for making Locked On Dodgers your first listen every weekday morning. And thank you to those of you who are joining us live here tonight. This podcast is available wherever you get podcasts and on YouTube, simply by searching for Locked On Dodgers. You can make it easier on yourself by subscribing wherever you're watching or listening right now. If this is your first time with us, my name is Jeff Snyder. My normal co-host is Vince Samperio, but Vince is on vacation this week, and today I have a very special co-host. It's my buddy Clint Pasillas. Vince and Clint and I are all lifelong Dodger fans, just like a lot of you. We've also spent time covering the Dodgers in the press box and the locker room, so we're not quite insiders, but we bring you the smart fans perspective on our boys in blue every weekday morning. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. And Clint, shout out to you. Thanks for joining me today. I'm excited to talk Dodgers with you.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me on. You know, you wish it was a better game. You wish it was a better time in whatever the Dodger sphere, but it's always fun to talk a little doom and gloom.
Yeah, you know, it's we kind of got the doom and gloom in yesterday's episode when you get shut out 1-0, when Tyler Glasnow throws a gem and you still lose. It's hard to be anything other than doomy and gloomy for that one. This one, like, obviously it sucks. I don't like losing, but I think if you had sent us all an email this morning saying, hey, Dodgers are going to put up 6 runs in a game started by Paul Skenes, we would have thought, all right. I mean, we probably also would have thought, wish James Paxton wasn't pitching. But, you know, in the end, if you flip these games, I would much rather have had the Dodgers lose 10-0 yesterday and win 6-1 today. We'd all be feeling a lot better about it. And we would be able to focus on the fact that the Dodgers put up runs on Paul Skenes. The Dodgers got some clutch hits. Jason Hayward might be remembering how to hit. There's a lot to be positive about, but I think we're going to save some of the positivity for the second segment, because I think the story of this game is James Paxton being bad. And he didn't even get he got 1 out in the second inning, gave up 7 runs. And I worry, I said even back earlier when he was pitching well, that he wasn't really pitching well. He was just getting good results. And I worried that we were going to lose it. And he didn't. I mean, this big inning in the second inning did start because of a leadoff walk, but it wasn't really walks that were the problem. But I think it was a symptom of the same problem, which is lack of command. Sometimes lack of command shows itself in walking a bunch of dudes. Sometimes it shows itself in throwing fastballs right down the middle.
I think we've seen that happen often enough with this team too. Playing against teams where, let's be fair, the Pirates have very little to play for, very little to lose. Even if, there are 2 games over 500, there's very little for them to worry about. So they're able to go out there and be one of those teams that Mookie Betts told us about at FanFest. The teams that treat a Dodger series like the World Series, and they come out hacking. And they picked the right guy to do it against with James Paxton, who did not have it tonight. He looked great in the first inning. Now, if they could just bottle that, keep it there, and maybe we have 1 inning ball game. It still wouldn't have ended. It would have been a tie. But you like Paxton for 1 inning, and then everything just kind of unravels. And these teams want to come out and hit against, especially somebody like the Paxton, but they really want to hit against these Dodgers teams right now.
Yeah, and the Pirates are a better hitting team against lefties. Coming into this game, they had a 103 OPS plus against lefties, so slightly above average, 81 OPS plus against righties. But you can't really plan your rotation around that, especially when you have games against real good teams coming up with the Yankees and the Rangers. You're not going to switch your rotation so that James Paxton doesn't have to face the Pirates. You expect James Paxton to go get the job done, because, I mean, this wasn't a 103 OPS plus kind of inning in the second inning. It was a 900 OPS plus kind of inning. It was, they just knocked the crap out of him. And obviously this was the worst inning that Paxton's had. It was the worst start that he's had with the Dodgers, but he's also hasn't really had any great starts with the Dodgers. And I'm wondering, I'm hardly even wondering. I've basically written it in stone one way or another, assuming nobody gets hurt. When Bobby Miller comes back, James Paxton's the odd man out in this rotation, right?
I mean, it's hard to argue that. I mean, Walker Buehler is right there, maybe on that doorstep, but Buehler at least has a little bit of sweat equity with this team to hang around. Paxton, one way, any shape, way or form, he's going to be an odd man out with this team. Whether they trade him at the deadline, they picked him up obviously to be an innings eater for the early part of the season. I don't think anybody ever expected him to be somebody they relied on in October. So thanks for stopping by, James. But we may be tiptoeing near the end of not the James Paxton experience, but at least the regular James Paxton experience. That's just my thoughts on it.
Yeah, and maybe he's going to be a long reliever. Although one thing we saw in this game was that he's not that much different than Ryan Yarbrough, and that they're both lefties who throw pitches that are easy to hit. I mean, Yarbrough stuff isn't as easy to hit as it should be based on how hard he throws, but different style, but same result a lot of the time. And really Paxton would be well below Yarbrough on the long reliever depth chart here based on how he's pitched. And so, yeah, maybe he's the one with the phantom injury, or maybe it's a real injury. Maybe that's why he can't throw strikes. Maybe he actually is hurt. We'll have to see how Bobby Miller's remaining rehab starts go. But yeah, I feel like we've, if not seen the last of Paxton, the last of Paxton is coming soon. Although I've said that so many times about Chris Taylor this season, and we keep seeing him, but the Dodgers don't have the emotional attachment, the fan attachment, the history attachment to Paxton like they do to Taylor. Paxton is just a baseball player who they signed to a 1-year contract. He is the Noah Syndergaard of this year, or the Andrew Heaney, or whoever you want to call him, who, when you're pitching well, you're going to pitch for us, and when you're not, you're not.
Yeah, he's around again. He's a Jag. He's just a guy. He's going to be here until the team runs out of use for him. And if Bobby Miller comes back, like you said, we're going to see his next rehab start in the minor leagues. And if it's good enough, they're going to bring him back. And then you're adding another right-hander to the rotation. I don't know if that's a problem for you. I don't care. Just give me some dudes that can get some guys out. And hey, you know what? Ho hum, he throws 100 miles an hour. The stuff is there. The future is somebody like Bobby Miller over somebody like James Paxton. So end of days coming soon.
Yeah, absolutely. And the starting pitchers, the reason they're starting pitchers is because their platoon splits aren't that big anyway. I don't care what hand they throw with. I'm old enough to remember when the Dodgers went 5 years without between starts by a left-handed pitcher back in the early 90s. So we'll talk some more about the early 90s a little bit coming back, and we will be a little bit more positive than we were in this first segment, because there were some positives to take from this game. So thank you all for making Locked On Dodgers your first listen, and please keep it Locked On Dodgers. This episode is brought to you by PrizePicks. PrizePicks is America's #1 fantasy sports app with more than 3 million members. It's the easiest and most exciting way to get in on the action while you watch your favorite sports and players. You just pick more or less on 2 or more player stats and watch the winnings roll in. With PrizePicks, you can turn $10 into $1,000 in a single game watching your favorite sports this summer. You can make a PrizePicks lineup in as little as 60 seconds. You just need to pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections, and you're locked in. PrizePicks is the best way to get action on sports in more than 30 states across the country, including California, Texas, and Georgia. Quick withdrawals, easy gameplay, and an enormous selection of players and stat types are what make PrizePicks the #1 fantasy sports app. So download the PrizePicks app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. That's promo code LOCKEDONMLB in the PrizePicks app for a first deposit match up to $100. PrizePicks, pick more, pick less. It's that easy. Hey, we are back. Thank you again for making Locked On Dodgers your first listen every weekday morning. Thanks to our everydayers. Remember, if you're not an everydayer, it's easy to become one. Just watch or listen every weekday morning. You can make that easier on yourself by subscribing wherever you're watching or listening right now. While you're at it, you should also subscribe to Clint's sorry, I get all my chubby Latinos mixed up. Subscribe to Clint's 2 YouTube channels. What are they, Clint?
So we got Dodgers territory where I co-host a show alongside longtime Dodgers reporter Alana Rizzo, and then I have a show where it's mostly me and occasionally a beer and friends where Jeff might join me. That is all Dodgers with Clint Pasillas here on YouTube if you're watching, or on your podcast platform. So try to make those your second and third listen.
Second and third listen. You just lined out your whole morning, guys. So that works. Also, be sure to check out Locked On Sports Today and Locked On Sports Los Angeles, the two 24/7 streaming channels on YouTube from the Locked On Podcast Network, and catch every pitch of every Dodger game on SiriusXM or the SXM app by searching for Dodgers, and become a Locked On Dodgers insider by going to joinsubtext.com/LockedOnDodgers. With all that said, Clint threw a little fun comment in during the ad break. Wasn't expecting Noah Syndergaard mention. Guess what? I got one more Noah Syndergaard mention coming up for us right now, Clint. There is, I got to upload an image for this one though. The Dodgers on Thursday, it'll be Walker Buehler against Bailey Falter. What do you know about Bailey Falter?
I know very, very little about a Bailey Falter.
Do you remember once upon a time when you and I both wrote for a certain website together?
I remember that era.
Do you remember that during that time, the Dodgers signed Noah Syndergaard?
Yes, I do.
Do you remember that meant we were often looking at the USA Today image repository for Noah Syndergaard pictures? And do you remember that one of them clearly was not Noah Syndergaard? It was, I'm popping it up on the screen here, it was Bailey Falter. Hey, look, a guy with long hair on the Phillies. It must be Noah Syndergaard. What? He throws with the wrong arm, you say? I don't care. I think it's Noah Syndergaard. Sorry, that's Bailey Falter. That is all that I know about Bailey Falter, except I looked at his stats today, and he has a good ERA and a really bad FIP because he doesn't strike anybody out. And I feel like that, he's basically Austin Garber. And the Dodgers got to Austin Garber just a couple days ago. He got good ERA, bad FIP, doesn't strike dudes out, throws with his left hand. So yeah, I guess did know he's left-handed just because he's not Noah Syndergaard. I am feeling
uncanny.
I am feeling better about the offense right now than I have been in a while, because not like the Dodgers tore the cover off the ball in this game, but it wasn't just, they did hit 2 home runs, but they also got key hits. They rallied. Yeah, they left the bases loaded when Teoscar Hernandez grounded out to end that inning. They left some guys on base, but one of my most controversial opinions, Clint, is that leaving a bunch of guys on base and getting a bunch of outs with runners in scoring position usually is a precursor to an offensive breakout, because it means you're getting a bunch of guys on base and a bunch of guys in scoring position.
That's fair. I mean, it takes time for a volcano to erupt. Hopefully they could do it against Wish.com left-handed Noah Syndergaard. That would be very fun to see this team breaking out. And I think we did see some signs of a little bit of something. You had 4 dudes with multi-hit games against mostly against Paul Skenes. Signs of breaking out, signs of something good. Maybe if we had a better home plate umpire, somebody didn't take the bat out of Mookie Betts' hands, somebody didn't take the bat out of Freddie Freeman's hand, it would have been a different outcome to this game. But watch out. What is his name? Bailey Falter. Watch out. They're coming for you.
Or as we call you, left-handed Noah Syndergaard. We're going to treat you like left-handed Noah Syndergaard.
Yeah, I'm in on that one. Last year's Syndergaard. That's BP Syndergaard right there.
Yeah, let's be Ella De La Cruz against Noah Syndergaard tomorrow. The umpire, everydayers know I am not afraid to blame some umpires for some stuff, or at least get on them. I got this comment from Noah Ortega up on the screen right now. The ump striking out Mookie Betts. As I pointed out to you on Twitter, Clint, I keep calling you Vince. I'm just used to saying the word Vince during this podcast. As I pointed out to you on Twitter, much to your chagrin, if we had robot umps, Mookie would have struck out on the previous pitch that actually was strike 3. So, it gives and it takes. The strike call to Freddie Freeman was in the strike zone. Even the one in game 1 of this series that looked low on the TVK zone, according to MLB's pitch tracking, it was in the strike zone. I think either Freddie's knees are either throwing off MLB's system or Sportsnet LA's system. One of those two, either the MLB system thinks his knees are lower than they are, or Sportsnet LA thinks they're higher than they are. Freddie is a uniquely shaped young man, but something about it. Anyway, if we had robot umps or a challenge system, neither of those would have gone our way anyway.
It takes the fun out of it though. Like we need things to complain about, especially when the team is what are they, they have 9 wins in their last 19 games or whatever. Not a very sexy schedule or results for this team right now. You need something to complain about. Blame it on something. Earlier on Dodgers territory, I blamed Mookie for looking bored for fun. It's like, let's pull something, throw something out there, and maybe it'll stick.
You see this comment from King Yellowman. He says that we look like twins, which is funny because let's tell this story. Your Twitter handle, RealFRG, comes from when you were once called Fat Ryan Gosling, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Well, when I was in high school, before you were born, one time a cute girl in my AP government class paid me the nicest compliment I ever got in high school. She told me I look like a fat Chris O'Donnell. So
look at us.
Yeah, I didn't make my Twitter handle real FCOD, but so we have both been compared to fat versions of good looking dudes. So you know what? Maybe you are twins.
I'm in on it. The important thing is we're not fat. We're just plump or something. A lot of Dodger dogs.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we're fat, man.
That's
but
trying to spin positive.
Yeah. So Shohei Ohtani in this game, 2 hits, a home run, 2-run homer off Paul Skenes on, he had gotten blown away by Skenes his first time up. Yeah. And so catching it was 101 miles an hour, hardest home run or hardest pitch that Shohei's ever hit for a home run. And then his next time up, he ripped a base hit at like 107 miles an hour on a high fastball, a pitch that we've seen him swing and miss that a lot in the last couple of weeks. He did strike out twice in this game. Once by Skenes, once by Aroldis Chapman. Did you notice that was catcher's interference and nobody said anything?
Was that what that was? Because he had mentioned, I saw him kind of like he didn't know if it hit him, if something hit.
So the previous pitch, he thought it had maybe hit him because he's got those huge gloves. He's wearing like boxing gloves. But then the pitch he struck out on, his bat hit Yasmani Grandal's glove, but Shohei thought that it was a foul tip. And so, everybody missed it. Nobody said anything. Anyway, but Shohei had a good game. And beyond the 2 hits, what the hits were, the pitches that they were hit on gives me hope that maybe he is figuring something out and breaking out of his slump.
Just to step back for a second, like objectively as a baseball fan, the Ohtani versus Skenes, it delivered. It very much delivered because, Skenes won the battle, but I would argue that Ohtani won the war with a homer, with a single in there. I guess you want to win round 1 because that's the one that gets posted on social media and Pitching Ninja runs away with. Objectively, very fun to watch as a baseball fan, even if the Dodgers end up losing that game. But good signs from Shohei, something we needed to see because I think heading into this game, he was hitting like 197 over, I forget the stretch. I think it was like 21 games or at bats. You're more of the numbers guy. I'm a feel guy. You got to feel good, look good or something like that. But I like the approach. I like the stuff. I like the compete I saw out of Shohei, save for that Chapman at bat because, that up and in one that almost did hit him. I think that one very much took him out of that at bat because that last swing did not look comfortable.
No, and part of that might have been hitting the catcher's glove, but it wasn't going to be a good swing either way. Chapman just decided, hey, I throw 104 again, like it's 8 years ago. Like it really is. Dodgers are their World Series. Every pitcher is throwing his hardest pitches of the year against the Dodgers. Mookie Betts didn't break out in this game. He did have a nice line drive that was caught at the wall or on the warning track in right field. But overall, Betts has been struggling quite a bit. How do you feel about Mookie Betts right now?
Over the grand scheme of a full 162 with Mookie, I feel okay. I think what we see often with Mookie Betts, and I'm not trying to crap on him here because I think it's real easy to kind of lose your edge or maybe get pulled in different directions. I think the fun, the excitement of the infield and shortstop has kind of waned on him, and now it's work, and maybe he's kind of thinking a little bit about other things, perhaps. I don't know. I don't talk to Mookie Betts, but he just looks a little overworked, a little maybe in his head about some things. We've seen him go through these type of stretches, in the past. This was his first month of 2023, taking bad swings, bad approaches,
and his last month of 2023.
And his last month. We walk into the plate feeling like you're almost 0-2, 1-2 all the time. You're not going to have a good time. But he'll find something. It's a very bad stretch over a long season, but right now it's very magnified when you still have the mostly bad bottom four in the lineup. You're missing Max Muncy. They're missing one more bat to just kind of give them an adult in the lineup right now. But Mookie at the top of the lineup, he's the table setter. He is the juice that runs this engine, and they need him. They need him back. They need him pretty bad right now.
Yeah, I always say if we had a crystal ball, so we knew that this was just Mookie getting his October struggles out of the way in May and June, and that we're going to get great Mookie in October, that's a trade we would all make. The concern is it's not that trade. We don't know. There's nothing about this struggles that says that because of this, he won't struggle in October. But there's also nothing that says that it's much less likely that he's going to struggle from 3 weeks ago all the way through October, like that he's just not good anymore. That's not the case. And so he's going to break out of it. I think some of that will come from the guys around him breaking out of it a little bit so that he doesn't. I think when everybody's hitting, everybody has a little bit less of that feeling of I have to carry the team. And that's what this team should be. With the number of stars they have, there shouldn't be anybody feeling that weight. And I think right now they're kind of all feeling that weight.
Yeah, this is a team pressing. They know they entered this season very much knowing they are supposed to be, the best team in baseball. They're supposed to be winning the headlines, beating these teams down, especially a team like the Pirates every day. But that's just not how baseball works. That's not a reality of baseball. You're going to win some games. You're going to lose a lot of games as well. And people are going to go through these struggles. When they go through them together, everything really gets amplified, especially when you commit to $103 billion in the offseason. That spotlight gets a lot more amplified and everything starts closing in on you a little bit more. But ultimately, I saw King Yellowman in the comments saying, Mookie still having a great season, though. Yeah, I don't think anybody's saying Mookie's having a bad season. It's just right now kind of finding something, picking apart what I'm seeing in Mookie. He just looks a little, I wouldn't, not fully lost, but he's not all the way there. He's not all the way locked in like he was, or locked on like he was to start the season.
Yeah. So we're going to come back in a minute. We are going to talk about guys who could maybe help carry some of that weight, guys who aren't currently on the Dodgers, but maybe could be via, say, a trade or something like that. So thank you all for making Locked On Dodgers your first listen, and please continue to keep it Locked On Dodgers. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. It's winner take all time in the NBA and NHL, and FanDuel is giving you a shot to bring home a big win of your own. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 to bet on spreads, money lines, player props, and more. I told you yesterday about the Paul Skenes lines, including how fast would the first pitch of the game be. If you had gone with 101 miles an hour or faster, you would have won that bet, and that was, I believe, plus 240. So easy way to make a little money on that. Dodgers are back to being favored on FanDuel for Thursday's game. Walker Buehler pitching against Bailey Falter. So Dodgers are favored there. Check that out. If you feel good about a bet, put $5 on it. And when you win, you get $150 in bonus bets. So visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and make every playoff shot count. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Hey, we're back. Thanks again for making Locked On Dodgers your first listen every weekday morning. Thanks for being here with us live. Thanks to Clint for being here with me. I texted Clint this evening. I said, Vince is out of town, and I'm tired of talking to myself, so come talk to me. This is slightly better than talking to myself, Clint, so I appreciate you being here. Be sure to subscribe to Clint's 2 YouTube channels, All Dodgers?
All Dodgers with Clint Pasillas.
All Dodgers with Clint Pasillas and Dodgers Territory with Clint and Alana Rizzo. Be sure to subscribe to Locked On Dodgers wherever you get podcasts and on YouTube. Make it easier on yourself. Also, go to joinsubtext.com/Locked On Dodgers to become a Locked On Dodgers insider. Check out Locked On Sports Today and Locked On Sports Los Angeles over on YouTube, and listen to every pitch of every Dodger game on SiriusXM or the SXM app. I was listening to the game today on the SXM app while I was driving, taking my son to go swimming at the local swimming hole. and listen on Sirius XM on the SXM app. And in between innings, heard my voice pop up on a commercial, and that's always a kick to my kids. A commercial for this show while we're listening to the game on the radio. So, if you want to hear my voice a little bit more than you do every morning, you can listen to your games on Sirius XM. So trade deadline's coming up. We're still almost 2 months away from the trade deadline. It feels like it should be coming sooner because the Dodgers have needs, and we want teams to start being willing to trade. Right now, there's only a handful of teams that are probably even willing to trade. We know the Marlins are willing to trade. I don't know that there's anybody on the Marlins who both makes the Dodgers better and fills an actual need for the Dodgers right now. Tanner Scott obviously would make most bullpens better. The bullpen isn't really the problem for the Dodgers right now. Doesn't mean I don't want Tanner Scott, but it doesn't address the need. And we know the White Sox are sellers because they're terrible. Luis Robert, I talked a little bit about him yesterday. I'm sure you've talked about him. He's an obvious trade candidate for the Dodgers, right?
I mean, at this point, if the White Sox are saying they're listening, I think the Dodgers are looking into it. They were already looking into it. White Sox are terrible. They're obvious trade partners because they matched up last year on the, sorry to mention Lance Lynn, but they matched up on the Lance Lynn Joe Kelly deal. And I think it's painfully apparent that this team needs an outfielder and probably more specifically a center fielder, a position that Lou Bob will play. So Dodgers have the money. They have the talent to move. Feels like a good partnership to make happen. Do you think this is something that actually could happen, though?
I think it probably is. I think James Outman would probably be included in that trade because the White Sox are probably going to want their next center fielder of the future. James Outman has not worn out his welcome with the Dodgers by any means, but if they are getting Luis Robert, assuming he can stay healthy, they don't really have a spot for James Outman anymore. He becomes trade bait, so it might make sense for him to be in that trade,
Yeah, or I mean, Outman can move to left. He's been playing some left field occasionally at OKC. Some might argue that he is a better left fielder than a center fielder, which just helps the offense or helps the defense all around for this Dodgers team. But like you said, I agree. The White Sox probably need somebody to fill in that spot if they were to trade Luis Robert. And ideally, they're going to be looking for somebody that's major league ready or close enough, which we know the third place National League Rookie of the Year award finalist, whatever. He's pretty good at baseball when things are going well for him. So maybe change of scenery works out.
Absolutely.
James Outman.
And the White Sox are in a better position to give him the chance to have those have that learning curve at the big league level. Another name that I hadn't thought about until I was watching you and Alana talk earlier tonight, and I saw it in the comments on your chat. I don't know if you saw this. I don't know if you guys talked about it. Starling Marte. I hadn't thought about Starling Marte at all, but the Mets are bad. The Mets, I assume they'd be willing to trade Marte. Marte's having a resurgent season. He's got like a 117 OPS plus. He's playing solid defense in the outfield. His speed has recovered. His sprint speed was down the last couple of years, but mid last year it started to bounce back. He's back to running fast. Has a above league average strikeout rate. Starling Marte is a guy who really interests me a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, anybody on the Mets, I think, is going to be gettable, and we know Uncle Stevie Cohen is happy to move product for future product because I think they're realizing they made some poor choices and maybe don't have the organization that they thought they would have to mirror what the Dodgers are doing. I had mentioned somebody like a Harrison Bader because he is a very good center fielder, has a Gold Glove to boot with that. But Starling Marte is another one of those names that does have some value. And I think wherever it's very painfully obvious, I keep saying painfully obvious, but anybody is going to be better than Chris Taylor in the starting lineup. Andy Paz is kind of figuring some things out right now. I'm not sold on, even though he's mostly playing infield right now, I'm not sold on Kike Hernandez really in the lineup. So if it's a Marte, if it's a Lou Bob, if it's a Harrison Bader, I would love to see any sort of move like that happen because anything is better at this point than Chris Taylor. And that's just moving the needle upwards.
Yeah. When you think about who they're replacing in the starting lineup, that's one thing. But when you think about who they're replacing on the roster, it's not hard to upgrade from the 2024 version of Chris Taylor. He does still provide defensive value, but I mean, he did play third base tonight, but mostly he's been an outfielder. And so that value is easily replaced. He and Kike are basically filling the same role on this team. And it's like a bad version and a worse version of that role. And so even just getting like, I don't know what they would do if they got Robert and Marte. Well, then suddenly you've got, okay, Robert, Marte, and Teoscar as your outfield, with Jason Hayward as your utility guy. Hayward can play all three positions, or, there's enough flexibility. Hayward could sub in for any of those three guys, which would mean, Hayward could get 2 starts a week against right-handed pitching without taking away much playing time against those other guys. Does that do enough for the lineup that then you can be patient with, you just ride with Miguel Rojas at third base until Muncie's back and Gavin Lux at second base? Is there enough offense in that lineup that you're okay with those 2 guys at the bottom of the lineup?
Yeah, I mean, if you are adding, a Marte and or a Lubob, you are going to get improved offense in the lineup. So you are going to offset the problems we're seeing with, Lux in there. Of course, Mookie, we're talking about him struggling right now. Miguel Rojas, since everybody started talking to him, is kind of, he had a bad game on the Tuesday game. I think it moves the needle in a very positive direction, which this team needs. It's not the most, these aren't the most sexy moves, but these are kind of what this team is going to be needing to look at. We're not going to see a Randy Arozarena trade like we're talking about in the offseason a whole lot. And also, Arozarena has not been good at baseball so far this year. So lower those expectations. And like you said, you're just trying to work on not even on the margins. You're just trying to fix a few of the worst spots or the bad spots on the active roster, which you would be doing in any of those additions.
I'm throwing this comment up. Andy Pages, in that scenario, do you keep Pages as the 4th outfielder instead of Hayward? Even though Hayward had 3 doubles tonight. Overall, Hayward's got the veteran leadership, all that stuff. Maybe you need Pages in one of those trades in order to pull off something big like that.
That's a fair concept there. I think he would be somebody that other teams are discussing. I would imagine other teams are talking about him more than an Outman, maybe even him more than somebody like a DePaula or something like that. I think with Pages, though, if he's not traded, he's somebody that very clearly needs to continue getting every day at bats, and that's something he would do at AAA. They still will need insurance, and that does open a very nice runway for Jason Hayward as the 4th outfielder and a guy off the bench, and he's been pretty decent coming off the bench since returning from injury. He had that triple off the bench. He had a 2-hit game off the bench, and I like where Hayward is at, and I like the idea of him kind of settling into a role that benefits this team. You got very good defense, obviously Gold Glove caliber defense. He's older, but the wheels still work. The arm's still there. He's kind of a decent guy to, we'll say, be replacing a Chris Taylor in this. Not to keep crapping on Taylor, but he's the obvious guy in the room there.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, we love Chris Taylor. We just don't want to play in for the Dodgers anymore until he remembers how to hit. So I think that'll do it for us for today. Clint, thank you again for hopping on with me. This was fun. Thank you all you who have been live with us in the chat. It's been a very lively chat. There's Noah. I'm just going to respond to your comment real quick. Re-signing Hayward didn't prevent Mookie from playing the outfield. They re-signed Hayward so that Mookie wouldn't have to play the outfield. The cause and effect were opposite on that, I think. But anyway, that'll do it for us for today. Thank you all for making Locked On Dodgers your first listen every weekday morning. If you're not an everydayer, please become one by watching and listening every weekday morning. Be sure to subscribe wherever you're watching or listening right now to make that easier. Subscribe to All Dodgers with Clint Pasillas and Dodger Territory with Clint and Alana. Check out Locked On Sports Today and Locked On Sports Los Angeles, the 2 24/7 streaming channels over on YouTube from the Locked On Podcast Network. You can catch the Locked On Dodgers postcast on Locked On Sports LA. And remember, for the Yankees and Rangers series, I will be guest hosting that postcast for Pete. So check that out. You can become a Locked On Dodgers insider by going to joinsubtext.com/LockedOnDodgers. You text with us. It's just a few bucks a month, free 14-day trial. You can follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter at Locked On Dodgers. Vince is on Twitter at VinceSense91. Clint is on Twitter at RealFRG, and I am on Twitter at Snydog. I know my DMs are open and Vince's are open. I don't know if Clint's are, but I don't know if Twitter still allows DMs anyway. I don't know. But you can email us lockedondodgers@gmail.com or send us a voicemail or a text message to 323-863-LOCK 5625. We are here every weekday morning, and we hope you'll be here with us. When you get in your car or sit on your couch, tell your smart device to play podcast Locked On Dodgers. And remember, you don't have to agree. You just have to listen. We will talk to you tomorrow.